Here's my book report on this wonderful book. Hi, I'm James Thurman and welcome to my series of book reports. Each of these videos will give a brief overview of a book related to metalsmithing or jewelry making that I found particularly useful. Full disclosure, I've not received any compensation for sharing these books. I just really like them and want to share them with others. So today we're going to go through this silversmithing book by Finegold Seitz. And what I found is that I really like to start with the table of contents of these books to give everybody kind of a sense of how the whole book is approaching things, since I'm not going to go through the whole book page by page. And what is really interesting in this, if you think about the fact that it's going to serve as almost a textbook to help someone get started and work their way through the aspects of silversmithing or making hollowware or something, is that it actually starts with basic exercises. So before it's even describing anything, giving the reader a set of experiments or exercises to just experience the plasticity of metal before starting to read about any theory or approaches or anything like that. So I thought that was just a really interesting approach to things, and then moves into maybe a more typical kind of approach of going through material, tools and equipment, and with equipment starting to get into custom making your own tools, and then starting to move into more involved processes with basic treatments of the material, annealing, soldering, pickling, abrasives, and moving into polishing, with chasing, and then getting into the basic tools that have been introduced and how you're going to work with those. And this could be of great reference, not just for those interested in silversmithing or hollowware, but even just a great reference for basic sawing or filing or hammering techniques, things like that. Other aspects with the procedures, as far as how you're going to be safely and properly hammering, which is something that I don't take for granted anymore. I thought that people understood the basics of that, but it really is important to teach the fundamentals of working safely so you don't develop bad habits over the years. And then moving into specific aspects that are important to silversmithing or making hollowware, as far as some of the different processes or procedures, with getting into forming through raising or sinking, and then some special procedures that are maybe more unique to different types of hollowware, like different vessels and teapots and things like that. And then has a project section. And then, of course, an appendix with reference and everything. So I'm going to go through and hit some of those key areas that I mentioned. With these are the exercises that I was talking about. And you can see just with different types of hammering and what's going to happen to the material. And I think this is just an excellent starting point for anyone working with the plasticity of metal, even smaller jewelry making. This is a really excellent experiences to see relatively quickly what happens, and then gets into seeing how that will be applied. And we'll skip ahead into some of the basic treatments. And this is a really wonderful textbook approach, very, very specific, with the explanation of materials, processes, combined with photographs and illustrations. And the variety of different approaches with those materials. And again, with an eye on hollowware. And many of the illustrations I continue to refer back to as students get involved with maybe larger soldering setups, particularly these different kind of wiring approaches and setting up your different soldering jigs. This is an excellent technique that I use even in jewelry setups with soldering, of kind of raising a stitch with a graver to hold pieces in place as you're soldering. It gets into some details of how to approach that. Going over basic tools. And like I said, this is a wonderful reference even just beyond hollowware making, but even for basic jewelry making. And even some tips and tricks as far as getting into some larger pieces of metal through twisting the saw blade, sawing kind of 90 degrees to what we're typically used to. Wonderful detailing of tools and materials that maybe we take for granted a little bit too much, and some additional kind of techniques maybe that aren't as commonly taught. And of course, we all love hammers, and this is just an excellent detailing of sizes and types of hammers and how you might want to customize them for your own studio practice. I like getting into photographs of specific sort of approaches and postures to working, correct sitting positions, and then getting into design and templates, which is certainly critical in hollowware, but can be used depending on what types of involved pieces you might be making and putting together. And I think this is a really great section on repair. It's something we maybe don't want to address, that we want to think all of our processes will just go perfectly. But I love that they address that things happen while you're working, particularly students, less experienced, and even very experienced practitioners run into problems, and how to address those and fix those. I think that's a great little section. And then this is a little bit more focused and specific to hollowware. So some tips and tricks maybe that aren't as common, as far as like curving flat wire to set up for different types of rims that you might need. And a great combination of incremental photographs with a specific process, so you could follow along, almost like just taking a hollowware workshop on your own. We'll kind of skip ahead here, and some more specifics to hollowware, like templates for making a spout. You can see how the 2D transforms into the 3D. Again, with those incremental photographs that cover all the major stages. Some great wiring setups for assembly. That is an art in and of itself. And I like these other specific components that come into hollowware, like these ferrules, pinning a handle in, oftentimes the handle being a different type of hardwood. Hinges, of course, used in everything from jewelry all the way up in scale to hollowware. And then some of the specific projects. And these come into, we even have some of our beginners get in with basic sinking. So this is an excellent reference to refer back to. And a lot of times the difference between the specifics of bouging, planishing, sinking, raising, different types of hammers that are going to be used for different specific processes. You can see just covers all of the details necessary. I'll just kind of flip through a little bit faster. You can see all these different types of projects that they're covering, wonderful combinations of hand-drawn illustrations with incremental photographs. Really just a fantastic reference if you have any interest at all in sort of larger, well, compared to jewelry, larger hollowware silversmithing techniques. So more specific projects, and wonderful gallery of kind of more traditional handmade silver pieces. You can imagine fabricating all of those separate components in their assembly. And then, as I mentioned from the table of contents, that appendix with all the different references and charts that you might need, and all in one place. A little glossary for that new vocabulary you might be using, and a wonderful thorough index for the whole book. So that's just a quick overview of this reference. And as always, I'm open to other requests and suggestions for different topics or books that you might want to have me take a little page through. and share what I found particularly useful about it. So hope this is useful and helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can hear from me when I post future videos. Thanks for stopping by.